The time just flies, but we are
Bro,
back.
I can't. It's almost a year here already. I feel like I've been like running around for 3 months straight, and that's kind of like you're not the first, KT. You're not the first. There were like four people before you today. All right, guys. Remember, this is a task event. Make sure that you're getting your screenshot submissions in as soon as possible. Don't just wait until the end. Don't wait till a half an hour after because it's only open for an extra half an hour after the event for you to claim it. So make sure you claim. I'm recording the attendance here, so you guys don't have to worry about making sure that you're timing yourselves or anything like that. Just sit back, enjoy, have fun. All right.
Oh yeah. Let me. Well,
And ask questions if you have them, of course.
I was just making sure that the stream looks good on X. We are live. We are recording. We sound good. We feel good. We're ready for a good time. And I know it's a little earlier than usually we run these 2D Moon events, but I was telling Terrace that there's some other things in the IRL stuff that I needed to move around. So thank you for being
Brother got
accommodating.
to handle business. So we get it. We get it, bro.
But we are here with another To the Moon event. Every time I see the number go up, it's pretty crazy with how many we've done. This is number 11. And today's going to be a special one. I know we had talked about it, doing sort of an overview and a check in to see how the last project that we had talked about was going. But I think we're probably going to maybe do that in the future. They're still around. Just that's like a quick recap. They're still around. They're still kicking, and like everything that we talked about 2 weeks ago is still true from what I understand with that project. But today we're actually covering a different project and a different token. Today is going to be a tokenomics overview of LFG. And so if you've never heard of LFG, or if you have with Terrace, because I know there's some events here that are covering Oraichain and LFG as well. But today we're going to be
This
talking about.
one's brand new.
Okay, so am I the first one to talk about it here?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Okay, so then you will be hearing about Oraichain and LFG a little bit further, but I'm gonna be your introduction here today, and although I will cover sort of like an overview of what the project is and what they're doing, it's gonna be a lot more focused on the actual token. And they're having a pre-sale right now, so it's more of like what is the tokenomics of this token, this project, and this ecosystem, and like what is it all about. So if you guys are all good to go, we can go ahead and get started here today. Terrence, do you have anything else, or are we good to kick it off?
No, sir. You're welcome to start. I know we got limited time. I don't want to hold you up today. I know you got something right after, so let's get it.
Awesome, let's do it. So, all right, we're just gonna kick right straight into it. So, what is LFG? And this is a little bit of the project overview. LFG is a perpetual DEX on Oraichain, or I'm not actually even sure if I'm saying that, pronouncing that correctly, but it's Oraichain with the little AI emphasis there in the middle. And it's the goal of this project and the goal of this perpetual DEX is to merge DeFi, AI, and social trading. So if you guys, I know we've talked about perps or futures trading and these kind of things in the past in other To the Moon events, but if you don't know what perps are and you like the basic sort of idea is you make an assumption: is a token going to go up or is the token going to go down? That's as simple as you can get it. Is Bitcoin going to go up or is Bitcoin going to go down from where it's at right now? And then you make that decision and you open up either a long or a short based on your analysis. And that's pretty much what a perpetual is in a very basic term. But a perpetual DEX is a platform that's going to allow you to do those decisions and make those predictions. All right, but this one is a very specific one because, or a very special one because it's adding a lot more to it that I don't think I've seen before, especially the social trading aspect of it. I've heard murmurs of other people trying to do it, but I haven't actually seen someone accomplish it. And the cool thing about LFG is it's also a mobile first and a browser ready platform. So when you think about a lot of the stuff that you use in DeFi, a lot of the stuff that you use in crypto, most of the time, all of this stuff does not look very good on your phone. And even if they have phone capabilities or it's supposed to be looking good on the phone, it always looks wonky. It doesn't fit well. It doesn't look like a good app. But what LFG is trying to do is flip the script, and instead of focusing on desktop users like most of crypto is, they're focusing on mobile first. So your experience on mobile is supposed to be the best way to be able to experience this. And their goal is very simple. redefine trading as a craft and not speculation. Which, when I read that and I was reading about that, I was like, that's a very good approach, because a lot of people, and myself included, I believe that a lot of what trading is speculation, believing in like, hey, what's going to happen in the future, and no one can, I don't know if you guys seen Wolf of Wall Street, but no one could 100% guarantee what's going to happen with the markets tomorrow. They can tell you it's going to go up, it can tell you it goes down, but it could do cartwheels, it can go sideways, it can go upside down, and everything in between. And our goal is just to try to predict that and speculate on those motions. But their goal is to try to redefine it as a craft instead of just pure speculation and pure degeneracy. So how are they doing that? So we mentioned the vision, and their goal is to go beyond the DEX. So a lot of times, a lot of these protocols and projects focus really on the platform. They're trying to go beyond that. So most DEXs, as you can see here, most DEXs compete on speed and fees. Whether you're using Hyperliquid, where you're using a centralized exchange, Binance, Kraken, this and that, all of it comes down to, a lot of it is availability. Whatever country you're in, is it available? But what they're trying to do is, we have to believe that fees or speed and fees should be table stakes. That should be already automatic. You should, whenever you go to any one of these platforms, speed and fees should already be solid. What they want to do is take it further, and they want to compete on culture and accountability. So they're trying to bring culture into trading, and that's where their social aspects of the platform come in. And in their Twitter, they actually said it. This is going to be built for traders, not just for trades. And that will make more sense as we talk about more of their ethos and how they're building their platform. But it is going to be built for traders, not just for trades. LFG claims to be merging skill, insight, and identity. And again, we're going to explain what that means, because a lot of this stuff comes from their social aspects of the platform. And they also aim to shift the attention economy by rewarding creators who help others win. Again, this has to do with the social aspects of the platform, but their whole goal is, hey, if you're a good trader and you're making good calls and you're making good predictions, we want to reward that. Instead, and the contrast of that, the way that they believe that the perpetual DEX ecosystem works right now is pretty much, hey, who's the loudest, who has the most following, who can shill the token the best, who can yell from the rooftops and pretend like they know more than everyone, and that's usually where all the rewards to. And they didn't say this specifically, but when I read it, the way that I interpreted it was, I was thinking about the yaps. If I don't know if you guys seen yaps on Twitter and everything, and everyone yapping and talking about nothing. Or I feel like there was another one, like Laudio was also another one. Like, that's when I think about the attention economy, I think of those kind of platforms, that they reward people for the most engagement or the most impression, or just for really just saying anything and nothing at the same time. They're trying not to reward those people just because they have a big following. They want to reward creators who help others win. And this is going to come very closely tied to their socials platform and their trading platform as well. All right, so now what is the actual platform architecture? We talked about the vision, we talked about the hypotheticals. What is it actually going to look like on the app? On the core layer is a perpetual DEX with up to 1000x leverage. We've talked about leverage before in the To the Moon events, and we've talked about 1 to 5x being, sort of reasonable, 10x if you're feeling degen, 100x if you're feeling like losing some money. They let you go up to 1000x. So if you're trying to turn $1 to 1,000, you got that capability, but you also might lose that dollar quite quickly, because 1000x leverage just means any sort of swing is gonna get you liquidated. So be careful with using 1000x, but if you feel confident in your trading skills and you wanna degen it up, you have the capabilities with here. 1000x leverage. They haven't announced which tokens these will be available to, because just like Hyperliquid, for example, on Bitcoin you have up to 40x, on ETH you have up to 10x, or I think 15x. Actually, no, 25x. On AVAX you have up to 10x. So like, leverage does change per the token because of how deep the liquidity is, how much they have, how much they can offer you to upfront your leverage and your margin. But with LFG, they're promising up to 1000x leverage. So obviously, I think that's going to be mostly Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, the base core, and probably Oraichain and LFG if you want to go ahead and do perps on those tokens themselves. And then the other aspect of the platform architecture is actually the social layer. So the social layer is, I think, where their most unique selling point comes from, and that's where your trader reputation, journal style post, profit tracking comes in. So as a user or as someone who's using the platform, if me, Caesar, is starting to open up trades and I say, you know what, this week I believe Trump is going to say something about tariffs again, so the market's going to go down. And then, I happen to be right. On Monday, Trump puts out another tweet, everybody panics, everything sells, and the market overreacts and everything goes short. So now not only do I make that post and I alert everyone of what I'm doing that day, but on this platform, people are able to see that I predicted this correctly. And now my trading reputation goes up a little bit. Next week I do another really good trade or I make another good prediction. That starts adding up to my trader reputation. And all of a sudden, after like a month or two or however long, people start seeing, hey, this Caesar guy knows what he's talking about. Maybe I should go look at his profile and try to, copy some of those trades or learn something from what he's doing and be able to see like where his mind is at from these journal style posts. That's what I'm envisioning it. The platform is not fully live yet, but from what I read, this is what I understood and this is what I'm expecting when this comes out. But I think that's a really good idea, and I think when it gets put into practice, I think it could be really strong and really powerful because now it takes it, as we mentioned before in the last one, in the last slide, this one. They're trying to shift the attention economy by rewarding people who are actually helping others win. If I'm putting my posts out there, just for example, like how we're doing these to the moon events, I'm trying to help others people learn how to trade, properly, how to learn the right mechanics, what these term means, trying to get education out there. And I know a lot of this CJF Discord is all about helping each other grow and win. Well, with something like LFG, they're trying to reward that. They're not trying to just reward the loudest person in the room who has the most followers or who uses rage bait to get the most impressions and likes. Instead, they're trying to reward the people who are actually putting in the work, learning how to properly trade, learning how to, do proper analysis, maybe chart analysis, candlestick analysis comes into play. And now all of a sudden, everything that you're learning, through events like this or any of the events that happen in this Discord, you can actually start implementing that into your post. You just start putting journal style posts, you start telling people why you're doing certain things. And if you're right, if you have a track record of being correct, you get rewarded for that. And people start following those things and your trader reputation goes up. They haven't fully explained what the reward mechanisms are for people who have a good trader reputation, but I'm assuming that's where a lot of the value of this LFG token, some sort of reward mechanisms, will come in for people with good trading reputation and people who are right. And they're also, so we covered so far the core layer, perp decks with up to 1,000x leverage, social layer, trader reputation, journal style posts, profit tracking. Now let's talk about the AI layer. I do want to say, Terrace, I do see that there's a lot more activity in the chat today than other ones. So if you see any question that I may miss, feel free to stop me at any point and let me know, like, hey, there's a couple questions that you might want to check out here.
Yeah, no problem. The only one that I did notice so far was the Emmy mentioning the fear and greed index on the platform. That like when you were talking about Trump and whether or not like it would dump, the fear index would go up because the Trump speaking and everybody's afraid of what's going to happen tariff wise.
I don't know if they,
I don't recall seeing a fear and greed index on the platform. No.
yeah, no, I don't think they've, I mean, they might add it if that's something that they request. But from what I read, that's not something that is either coming out the gate or something that they really highlighted. But I'm sure that that's something that would be added.
Yeah, I don't see a fear and greed index on the LFG testnet currently. Um, so that might have been something that you've seen somewhere else, buddy, but it doesn't seem like it was here.
It would be a good feedback to give, though. I think that's a really good. I know there's like whole trading strategies around fear and greed. I've heard people like whenever fear gets to a certain point, they buy. Whenever greed gets to a certain point, they sell. And like they don't look at anything else in the charts but just fear and greed numbers. Like whenever it hits a certain number, they act on that. So it's definitely a viable trading strategy, and I know people who have been successful with it. So if that's something that you want, I'm sure that they'd be willing to hear that feedback and notice that, hey, that's something that people want on the platform, and they're probably willing to add it. And then the third layer that they're adding to the platform architecture is the AI layer. So another thing, over the last year and a half, I think since virtuals really came out and really took the space by storm, talking about AI has really just become a part of pretty much things that we expect inside of an ecosystem. AI in some way. And their AI layer is actually using Thesis.io integration for data driven insight. And I think this is really good, and it's going to tie very well with the trader in reputation and the profit tracking. So instead of people being able to fudge their numbers or try to, be like, oh, I got this 100x from this trade, when in reality, maybe they got like a 57x, 58x, which is still an amazing trade. But, there's still a big gap between a 50x to a 100x. So I think they're going to use this AI layer to make sure that anything that has to do with the trader reputation and the trust that people put behind profit tracking, it's all going to be data driven insights that people can't fudge or people can't over exaggerate when they say that they won or that they made a good trade. People are going to be able to tell, hey, you're right, you made an amazing trade. Or, hey, you know what, your trade wasn't as good as you thought it was, and you can't lie about it. So this unified ecosystem is going to be very simple. It's going to include execution, communication, and analysis. Execution being part of the core layer from the perpetual DEX with up to 1,000x leverage. The communication through the social layer, I envision this to be a very like social media esque platform. I don't know if you guys have seen something like Zora, where a lot of it is tokenized, but it's kind of like an Instagram with tokens. I envision it something like that, but not so much the token parts, but being able to just scroll through a bunch of journal style posts of people talking about why they're trading, what they're trading, why they opened a long, why they closed, why they opened up a short, why they closed all their trades. These kind of things is what I expect from this kind of platform, and what I think it's actually really cool, because a lot of times right now the way that I look at my journal style posts, it's all Twitter. I just scroll through Twitter and then see people's P&L pictures. We've all seen that. We've seen the P&L pictures like, look at this, look at this amazing trade that I made. I have $7 million in my wallet. But we can't really verify that they actually have $7 million in their wallet, or that they made a good trade, or that the meme token that they've been shilling was the reason that they have that money, or that the picture is Photoshop. Like, all these things are hard to really validate and ensure that it's actually data driven. So I envision that they're going to take that sort of spin where people are just able to scroll through this application and be able to see people's trading reputation, all done with analysis. So I'm excited to see that come into play. But now let's take a closer look at the social layer, because as I mentioned, I think that's going to be sort of their standout feature and what's going to differentiate them from other perpetual dexes. Because let's be honest, there's a lot of perpetual dexes. There's a lot of platforms that let you trade. We have Hyperliquid. We have now Aster. We have so and so, and like every day more and more pop up. So in order for any of these to be really successful and try to take some market share from things like Hyperliquid, like Aster, or even things like Polymarket and Kalshi, like if you're going to try to take attention away and bring people back to your specific platform, you have to do something different. And from what I understand and what I read, their differentiator is going to be their social layer, because it's going to try to be creating this aspect of trading culture. I see Ben's asking a question, and I will say the best way for me to be able to see that I'm getting a question is just tag me, because then it highlights it above all the other messages, and that way I'll know. He's asked, I would like to ask, how does a trader reputation from social layer directly influence access or terms on the core layer? That's a really good question. I don't have the a specific answer. A lot of this stuff, they're still in early access, they're still in beta, and a lot of the information that I was able to gather for this specific slideshow all came from a lot of articles that I read, the limited stuff that I saw on their website. But from what I understand, it's going to tie very closely together. I don't know exactly how, so I can't give you like a direct answer. Like, hey, if you have this kind of trading reputation, you will get access to more leverage, or if your trading reputation goes down, maybe we stop you from having certain access. I would assume it makes sense to unlock more features or give higher priority to people who have great trading reputation. But the actual specifics has not been, or at least when I did my research for this about a couple days ago, it wasn't fully explained. Princess says,
It's a developing platform, guys. Developing platforms, you never get all the information, even if you would like to, and that's tough because you have to decide early without all of the information whether or not it looks like a solid play, and that's hard to determine. So that's why a lot of people just ape in early and hope for the best. I'm not recommending that by any means, but that's typically the way they go. Even with like NFTs, you see people with like the Play Providence thing. Everybody has no idea where they're really going with a lot of what they're doing in that game, but like they know that their NFT may become valuable in the future. So they all jumped in for it as quick as they can. So yeah, NFA guys. But sorry, Caesar, go ahead.
Not a financial advice. Yep, no financial advice here. Uh, but Precious did ask, like, how do you manage liquidation risk at 1,000x level? It's really tough. It's just straight up, it's really tough, which is why I say definitely, you know, lean on the side of caution when you're trying to use any sort of leverage that big. But it all comes down to, if you guys go back to the leverage to the moon event that we did, leverage should only be used with good risk management. So if you are, risking $100 every trade, that shouldn't change because you use different leverage. It would mean that you're probably going to be liquidated if you're wrong on your trade a lot faster, just because if you're wrong, there's not a lot of room for error. And even you would need to include a lot of margin in order to not get liquidated very easily at 1,000x leverage. So I would say I think that's more there to show like a wow factor. Like, look, we actually allow this, not so much as like, hey, come use 1,000x leverage on every trade. And I would also, as a personal recommendation, I myself would not be using 1,000x leverage very often, if at all. I mean, sometimes I even find 100x leverage to be too much. I always lean between 1 to 10. When I'm feeling really degen, I go 15 or 20. And then if I'm feeling really dumb that day, I go 25. And every time I've gone 25, I've regretted it. So just to put that into perspective with how I see leverage, those are the kind of numbers I work with. But occasionally, if I'm feeling really degen and I feel like losing $10, I'll probably throw it at 1,000x leverage. But I would be expecting to get liquidated very fast. The social, but yes, now we go back to the social layer, and this is the really important part. They're trying to create a trading culture, right? So the way that they envision it is that traders are going to create posts with setups, charts, stops, targets, all the really cool stuff that we've talked about in all to the moon events. This is the kind of post that you're going to be seeing. And then followers, if you follow someone just like on Twitter or any social media, you can collect the trades that they believe in. And from what I understand, collecting a trade is saying, hey, I'm going to try to follow it, or hey, I'm going to just watch it and see how it turns out. That way you can, it's sort of like copy trading, but now they're calling it collect trades. Every win and loss tied to your profile's profit factor. So this is the transparency and the analysis layer of it. Once you put an analysis out there, I'm not sure if you can delete it. I'm sure if you can delete it, then it would mess with this. But it would be cool that if you put it out there, there's like a warning. Hey, once you make this public, you can't take it back. You know, because then at that point, that's what I would want to ensure that happens. Because if they do allow people to delete their trades or delete their post, then I personally would go in and delete all my bad ones and then just leave all my good ones up. But then that would sort of fudge my numbers. So I would like to see a feature that sort of locks people into place. Maybe that happens when someone collects it. So maybe I can delete it when no one has collected that trade. But the second, terrorist goes in and says, you know what, Caesar, I'm going to follow you on that trade, and he collects it, I would like to see sort of like a lock-in factor. Because then that way it keeps all of us accountable for our own trades, for our own setups, and for our own posts. If I know that I'm not going to be able to delete it or take it back, I will definitely be double thinking it and ensuring that I really do believe in the trade that I'm about to make. All right. Princess has another question. So does that mean that smaller traders might be limited from higher leverage? Not necessarily. Like I mentioned, they haven't really come out and say who will have access to 1,000x leverage. From a trading platform, I would want to make it available to everyone. And the reason why I say that is because I know a lot of people are going to get liquidated. So I want to get those fees. I want to get that money. I want people to, like, from a trading platform, it sounds bad, but you want people liquidated because that just means more money for your platform. Like when the big Swan event happened the other day, where AVAX went from $30 to $8 and ETH went down to like 3,000, everyone was sad. But you know who wasn't sad? Polymarket, Kalshi, Hyperliquid, Aster, like any trading platform, like they ate a lot. They made a lot in fees that day because yes, we lose and we get liquidated, but they make a crap ton of fees. So I'm assuming that they won't try to limit it very much. Sure, they'll put warnings in there to try to say, hey, don't do it if you don't know what you're doing. But I'm sure they'll let most people do it. What are the fees for using their services? They haven't put out any numbers in specifically for like what their fees are going to be for trades, but I would assume that especially if they want to be competitive and try to take mind share from others, they're going to use very competitive rates. And they might even do like a 1 month trial, like, hey, we're going to have 1 month of no fees. Come try us out with no fees, and like use those kind of marketing tactics. But I would assume that it won't be higher and possibly not lower than Hyperliquid, but I would if I was them, I would put it at the same, if not a little bit lower, to try to get people to come try it out. How does the platform manage slippage? Well, slippage is not some. It's more of like how much liquidity they have. That's where slippage really comes in. The higher liquidity, the less slippage, because the less that your trade impacts the price and impacts the liquidity pool. So the way that they would manage that, Emmy, is they would have to put deep liquidity into their big tokens. If they're gonna allow 1,000x leverage on Bitcoin, on ETH, and like some of these tokens, they want to ensure that those that have 1,000x leverage have deep liquidity, so slippage doesn't change a lot. Because that's another thing that we saw. This doesn't have to do anything specific to this, but the reason why deep liquidity matters is, I'll give you guys an example. I was looking at Aster, and I know a couple people who were trading it on Twitter, and like there was a big discrepancy from Aster on BNB, so like the actual token that lives on BNB, and then people trading and doing perpetuals on Aster on Hyperliquid. When that big Swan event happened, Aster was like 20 cents higher on BNB than it was on Hyperliquid. And people were wondering, like, well, why is that? Like, why is this so discrepant? Like, everybody dumped. Why aren't the prices the same? And it comes down to that idea of liquidity and how much liquidity that token had. And that's where a lot of people. That's a whole different conversation, but it does come down to that. The way that the platform manages slippage and ensure that it doesn't go too crazy is just adding deeper liquidity. All right. I think we caught up with the. Never mind. Ben's just asked. Collect trade feature is cool, but how do you prevent it from just becoming a popularity contest or a pump and dump tool? I think that's where the second part of this comes in, right? This line right here. Every loss and win is tied to your profile's profit factor. So you can make a bunch of pump and dumps. You can make a bunch of popularity. Like you can still use your following to try to get people to collect your trades, but the data is not gonna lie. If I tell all of you guys, go buy Bitcoin right now, it's gonna go to the moon, and then tomorrow something happens, like terrorists go to like 700%, and all of a sudden we're at a $70,000 Bitcoin. Well, I can try to say sorry, but on my profile it's gonna show that I lost a lot of people money, that I lost a lot
Not
of.
only that, not only that, if you think about it, if you know that this guy is tied to leading like a large pump and dump group, when you see them pumping into a trade, you just short it
Yeah,
because you know at some point soon they're going to dump and you're going to be able to print money. There's always a strategy that you can take around how other people trade, and it's not always going to be right. But if you see somebody doing pump and dump tactics or running an alpha call group, this gives you a perfect opportunity to collect on their movements because you know how they're going to move.
exactly. If you know that they're scheming, or that they don't go everything above the board, or you suspect that they're not doing everything above the board, you can either try to counter trade it, or the beautiful thing is that, like, because of how transparent they're trying to be with this platform, you'll be able to say, hey, you know what? I look at your profit factor, I look at your P&L and your win loss ratio. That's doo doo. I'm just not going to follow you. And then just scroll and try to find someone with a better ratio. The young prof asks, how does the integration of social credibility and public profit uh, reshape? Hold on, I lost for some reason. I lost the post. Okay, now I found it. How does the integration of social credibility and public profit tracking reshape trust and accountability in decentralized trading communities? It comes down to what we were just talking about. If people can see that out of the 10 trades I called this month, 9 of them were crap, well, you can say that I'm a crap trader and then just not follow my traits any further. But if you see that, hey, Caesar's actually calling pretty good shots, he's right 75% of the time or 80% of the time, maybe this is someone who I want to, collect their traits from. And that's the beauty of it. The young prophet with thesis.io powering AI driven insights. How can data intelligence enhance decision making for traders with a unified execution and communication ecosystem? They haven't really specified how they're going to be using thesis.io other than it's going to be for their data driven insight. What that actually look like inside of the platform is still yet to be seen. Precious also asked me to see the question. That's the real issue, though. Will there be any limits or checks to prevent coordinated pump and dump setups? I think it's hard to try to prevent them because you can't really assume, like, you can't be like, oh, there's a new person joining the platform. We can assume that that person, like, how would you know that they're gonna try to do those pump and dumps other than let them do that, hurt their scores, and then show people like, hey, don't follow that person. But then it comes the answer to like the counter question. Well, what if they just make a new account? It's hard because I don't think that's a platform dependent thing. Like I don't think that's on LFG to try to tell you, hey, we've tracked their IP and this is the same person. Maybe they do. That'd be crazy. Like if they're like, hey, this is IP bound, and they're able to show you that the same person with the same IP is making all these accounts. But I think it comes down more to over time as people make more setups, as people post more trades, you start seeing this pattern, and then you decide who you want to follow, who you want to collect the trades from, and who you don't. Because at the end of the day, there is no fake calls. Like right here, they say that your record is public. It's all on the blockchain, and I think they're going to make it very easily seen for you to know, hey, this person is real or this person is just talking a whole lot of baloney. Can a transparent collect trades model redefine influencer trader dynamic by rewarding performance over popularity? That's the goal. That is the goal. If I collect a trade from a reputable trader, what tools will I have to manage the risk? That's a good question. That's a really good question, Benz. I think what I imagine, like I said, everything. I believe that they're also going into early access. Correct me if I'm wrong, there, Terrace. They're going into early access, so you'll be able to try out the platform here shortly, if not already.
We actually just missed a trading event. There was like a 20K trading event for LFG on I believe on their platform. So they're already starting to do things. Pay attention because they're probably going to have more events coming up as they lead towards mainnet launch. So I would definitely keep my eyes open because you potentially make some money. The only problem is that you're going to have to risk some money too because you're going to be doing live trading. It's not going to be like paper trading or anything like that. And if you're not comfortable with it, I don't recommend you doing it. But if you were comfortable enough with it and think that you could potentially win, I know that we have some really strong community members who are interested in trading and do leverage. So I think you guys could potentially stand to make some decent money off of some of these events.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's the beauty of the To the Moon events. Like, our whole goal with these is like to get you prepped for that step. Like, it does seem scary and it's daunting to put your own money on the line. But like through these events and through these events, like through these lessons that we have, like you should get more comfortable each and every week. Like feeling okay, I know what I'm doing. I have an idea of what trades are. Like I have more confidence in my own skill that you are willing, and I wouldn't say go crazy with it, but maybe start with $100 and see how far you can go. Um, but yeah, with a lot of these trading competitions, it is live money, just because they also want to be making fees throughout the competition. Emmy asks, is there any means of identity verification because people might create a new account after a massive loss? I see a couple questions here that also tie around that same idea. What I would say is use your best possible judgment. If you see a brand new account making all these crazy claims, but they have no track record that shows that they have a potential to be right, don't take those traits. Don't collect those traits. Make sure that anything that you're collecting and you're using from this platform is from people that have a track record or have shown that, like, hey, and I think maybe they collect, and the way that would probably look like is they're collecting a lot of information from people in these trading competitions. So maybe when the platform goes fully live, everyone sort of starts with a clean slate, but maybe someone who participated in these trading competitions gets a little extra boost. So then people know, hey, when the trading competitions happen, these are actually the guys that did really well. maybe they're the people to keep an eye out on. But when it comes to brand new accounts, I would say just don't take it. You would be risking quite a lot of money, or quite just you would just be putting yourself at risk trying to collect a trade from someone you who has never done anything on the platform. And that's not just with LFG. That's with everything. Don't follow people's trades if you don't know what they are and if they don't have a good track record. Is there a way for traders to post updates? I believe that that's going to be pretty much their entire post. So the way that they're going to be setting up is that you create posts with setups, charts, stops, and targets. What I envision is that in that post, anytime I open up the app and I go look at all the trades that I'm collecting, I'm able to see how that post is doing. If if I bought Bitcoin at 108,000 and I open it up 2 days later to go check how my setup that I followed from Terrace is going, I would be able to see, okay, cool, Bitcoin is at 109,000, we're up, and I can see how close we are to our take profit, our stop loss, all those good things should be visible from the app. And here, the last point that I have here is the goal is to create a clear form of accountability and trust. You shouldn't have to believe a P&L screenshot on Twitter anymore. And I think that's a really important part of what they're trying to do with the social layer and the trading culture is that idea of like, hey, I can actually trust that P&L screenshot is real. You're not faking it because I can go to your account and I can look at your trades and I can pinpoint the exact trade where you made that P&L and see that it was actually done and not just a bunch of photoshopping edits. All right, the AI layer. And I see a couple. I see a lot of questions, but a lot of that stuff we've already covered. So if you missed it, I would just rewind a little bit and be able to hear that back. A lot of it does come down to a lot of the questions regards like the specifics of following people's trades. The rule of thumb: if you don't know them and they don't have a track record, probably don't follow their trades. If you see that they've had a lot of activity on the platform, they've had a lot of good trades, their win to loss ratio looks good to you, maybe that's someone who you want to at least test it out. But rule of thumb, don't trust someone that has no track record. Yes, Benz. All the profile will have things like every win and loss will be people will be seeing in your profit factor. People will be able to see how much you've won, how much you've lost, how many times you've been right, how many times you've been wrong. All that should be visible. All right. The AI layer, the intelligence integration. AI companion powered by Thesis.io. I remember, I think it was Boss, you were asking about Thesis.io. This is all the information that I was able to find in terms of how they're going to actually implement the AI layer. It's going to query trades, signals, and macro data in feed. Agent spaces, this is I think is a really cool thing that they're going to be doing. It's community curated AI knowledge bases. It's a lot of words, but what I understand is pretty much is that the AI is going to enhance your thinking. It doesn't replace it. It's going to be pretty much, well, I'll say this first. The goal is to make the trading easier through AI tools. But remember, AI shouldn't replace the knowledge you have, it should amplify it or help it. And the reason why I put this here is because what I understood from reading this is they're going to add AI tools to make, like, if you're making a post and you're going to try to explain to people why you made that post, having an AI tool to sort of put the words in, like your thoughts into words or your analysis into the proper words. Like if I'm going to tell someone, hey, I'm going to buy Bitcoin here and sell it at 114 because I believe this is going to happen and I sort of think this is going to happen and I can't expect this to happen. Like maybe that's not the best way to explain it to someone and hope that they collect my trade. But if I have an AI companion that can sort of take my ideas and word it in a professional manner that makes sense to people using proper terms, proper terminology, that's like a really helpful tool. But the goal is not that you just ask ChatGPT, hey, what trade should I make? Because that's just going to lead you down a very dark path very quickly. You want the AI tool to help make sense of your knowledge, not replace it, because it never will. Like if you try to use AI to let it be your knowledge and have it work your way, it's not going to take you very far, and it's going to sound very basic and templatized. So I think that the AI intelligence is going to be a lot of just helping you refine certain things, but you still have to come in with a certain knowledge. All right. But now that we understand LFG and the platform that they're trying to build through the perp index with 1000x leverage, through the social layer, and through the AI layer. Like the next thing that I want to help you guys understand is that LFG is not just a app and a project in itself. It's actually part of a bigger ecosystem, and this is tied to Oraichain. And Oraichain is what they call, this is their words, the mother chain. It's a layer one AI plus blockchain infrastructure. So when I say mother chain, it's just pretty much where the LFG lives. So think about Ethereum and all the apps that live on Ethereum. Ethereum would be considered the mother chain. And so that's what Oraichain is to LFG. And Oraichain is going to be helping LFG because it's one of their products by providing oracles. Oracle just means a thing that will tell you what the price is currently is. So when you look at, Coinbase or Binance, they use oracles to live tell you what the price of Bitcoin, what the price of Ethereum is. It's also going to give them data feeds, so anything that has to do with data, and also AI agent execution. So all that stuff when it comes to LFG is going to be covered by Oraichain. LFG is going to be a subchain. The DeFi execution layer is how they called it. So if Oraichain is the L1, a subchain, we have like testnets and L1s that Avalanche has. That's what LFG is going to be to Oraichain. LFG is going to run on Oraichain mainnet, so it's going to be an application and something that's running inside of Oraichain. And the cool thing the reason why I bring this up is because the Ori token is going to be used inside of the LFG token, because the Ori token is used for gas, is used for staking, and is used for AI agent operation. This last part I don't have a lot of information on, but these are the things that the company says that Ori is going to be used for. So therefore, no Ori, no AI economy. So LFG and the Ori token is going to be very tight together. Go ahead, Cyrus.
You know what I'd be interested to see, because everybody talks about AI trading all the time and copy trading and stuff, and how you can like set stuff to copy somebody's stuff automatically. I'd like to see an AI agent that operates based on like a strategy that you set, with like trailing stop losses and peak points to get in, like where to buy in at, and kind of training it to trade for you in a similar style. That's what I would love. It would scare the fuck out of me too. Like, I'm gonna be straight with that, because you're putting your bag in a program's hands. But at the same time, it would be interesting to see if you could actually train an AI agent up to run your trades for you. And I'm hoping that that's something that this would look like, because nobody else is doing that. They're doing copy trading, yes. They're doing like algorithmic trading, yes. But they're not doing something based on like your custom design on how you want to trade. And I think that would open up a whole new world for traders.
Yeah, no, that'd be awesome. That's definitely something that I've also thought about. Would be sick to see. I think it'd also be very hard to implement, and I think that's why maybe we haven't seen like a live version of it. I'm sure that there's a lot of people who are testing it out and trying to make it work. Um, but dude, if that's something that LFG is able to add and help you create with their AI tools your own little AI trading system, and have that start making posts for you inside the social layer, that'd be sick. And so if they use their AI layer to that potential, that would be like another cool thing and differentiator for this platform. Princess asks, so basically Oraichain powers the AI side while LFG focuses on the DeFi execution. Yes, but it's a lot more. Pretty much without Oraichain, LFG can't exist because LFG lives on top of Oraichain. So anything that Oraichain provides, LFG will be able to use because it lives on that blockchain. Boss asks, do you prefer technical analysis, fundamental, or a mix of both? I mostly do technical analysis with a bit of fundamentals. I think the way that I view it is I use my fundamentals to tell me should I be feeling bullish or should I be feeling bearish, and then I have my technical analysis reflect that feeling. Benz asks, your position Oraichain as the mother chain, what's the long-term vision for the relationship between the mainnet and future subnets? I don't know the relationship for other subnets, but I can tell you about the relationship for this specific subnet, and that's what we'll cover right now. So LFG and Ori, the connection breakdown. So thank you, Benz, for the alley oop. You just helped me set up the next section here. The tokens are going to work very closely together. They're calling it a dual flywheel between Ori and LFG. 50% of LFG's net revenue is gonna be used to buy back Ori. So if in month one they make $1 million in fees, 500,000 of that is going to go directly into the Ori ecosystem through the buybacks of the main token, and the other 50% is going to be used for LFG buybacks. When I read this, I want to make sure that this is a hard point that we harp on because this is really cool. Everyone talks about buybacks. Everyone, that's a buzzword that I will use, and a lot of the times it means nothing. Well, I know I mentioned that last time. I think 2 weeks ago I mentioned that about the addicted.fun, and I said the same thing. Buybacks is usually means nothing, but when I see that they're using 100% of all revenue to go to buybacks, well, now that's interesting because that means that they're not taking a cut, and it makes sense why they're not taking a cut because Oraichain is actually the ones that are building LFG. So if they just go ahead and use all the revenue for that specific product, and they make the Ori token go up, well, their team tokens are probably going to be very happy because teams collect their own tokens, so that means that their bags go up. And then if the team's also holding LFG through a token allocation, I couldn't find that tokenomics part, like how they're breaking down the token allocations, but this tells me that they probably have a good percentage on their pockets to incentivize them to keep the tokens going up. So when 100% of all revenue that LFG creates is going back to Ori and LFG, 50-50 split. Now, will say this. If LFG is not successful and they make little to no money, this means nothing. Because if they make $500 in fees, what's a $250 buyback for Ori? What's a $250 buyback for LFG? Like, this only really matters when it gets to scale. And $1 million a month, or $500,000 a month in revenue, that's a big chunk of buybacks. And I think they haven't explained how they're going to do it, and I hope that they don't, because as soon as people say, hey, this is when the buyback's going to happen, people game it. I'll buy right before the buyback and I'll sell right after the buyback, and I'll just take that liquidity. So hopefully they have some cool ideas there. But this is pretty cool that 100% of net revenue is going to be used to go buy back Ori and LFG. All right, let's see. Have you tried Vector? And if I haven't tried Vector, so Arshmal, if you want to send me Vector or like a link to their Twitter, I can check it out and see like how it differentiates. But I haven't used Vector. When building a trading
Yeah.
strategy, oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say I skipped Boss J's. Boss J's asked a lot of questions. I haven't seen much from Grace Tech yet though. But Grace Tech was asking if FLFG is like a brokerage, and that's actually not a bad question for those who don't really understand how it works for like trading platforms and stuff.
From what I understand, they're not calling themselves a brokerage. Grace Tech, do you want to tell me a little bit more about like what parts of a brokerage you're trying to like see? Like what about a brokerage do you like? What do you want to like? How would it be a brokerage?
What do you understand a brokerage to be? Like yeah.
Boss J asked. The reason why I haven't fully focused on a lot of the Boss J questions is they're a little bit more broad, like about my specific trading strategies. But the ones that I've seen that sort of correlate to the topic at hand, I have tried to cover. Um, how do I balance between sticking to a proven setup and adapting consistently to changing market conditions? That's I think that's outside of the topic and of this specific event. But we have discussed that heavily in previous events. How does Orchain's fusion of AI and blockchain redefine what's possible for on-chain data intelligence and automation? It's yet to be seen. I can give you hypotheticals, but we still don't know if that's going to be actually true. They have to be successful first before we can say how those things are actually happening. Can the dual flywheel model between Ori and LFG create a sustainable loop of value that fuels both ecosystems long term? Like we mentioned, only if it's valuable revenue. If it's $500 a month, it's gonna do nothing. If it's like substantial, like 500,000, a million, 2 million, 10 million, depending on how successful they are, yeah, it's gonna make a difference. Will it be sustainable long term? Only time your guess is as good as mine. Sustainability is
It,
something that we talked
it
about last. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say it's difficult because if you look at the market, there's so many competitors out there across multiple different protocols and chains, multiple different trading pairs, and some focused on meme tokens, some focused on blue chips, some focused on ecosystem tokens for their self-sustained ecosystem. It all depends. Like they have to get major traction for buybacks to really equal a huge amount of upside for the users. And I also did want to say I see you, D Young and Hamez. And you guys are asking a lot of questions, and I understand why. Because if I do give it away as a participation bonus, then you guys would have a greater chance of winning. So what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to take the top participants, and I'm probably going to raffle it off between them. All right.
Yeah, that makes sense. Grace Tech gave us a little bit more info, like what he was asking. Yes, I mean that's how most of these platforms are gonna work in terms of being able to deposit funds. Like even Hyperliquid, like you connect a wallet, but you still deposit funds into it to be able to use it. And the reason why they do that, just so you guys like, so everyone here knows, the reason why most platforms have you deposit funds rather than connecting a wallet is because it really cuts down how many times they have to ask you to sign a transaction or to sign your wallet or to click a. It just allows them to do more things without you clicking so many buttons in your wallet. So I expect them to do the same thing where they have you deposit funds to be able to play in the site. That way, every time you go try to buy or sell, especially during a high volatility scenario, you don't have to. Okay, oh crap, the market's tanking. I gotta sell. But wait, now I have to confirm the transaction, and then I gotta wait for the transaction to go through, and then I have to press yes, and I have to all do these extra steps. When you have platforms like these, just working off a deposit first and allow people to use whatever deposit funds you have to the full potential really cuts down a lot of friction that crypto has. I hope that answered the question. Grace Tech also asked.
All right. We're running up to 8 minutes till you got to go, buddy. I want to make sure that you get a chance to get through all the stuff that you wanted to get through for your slides. I know we've got a lot of questions,
Yeah,
but
yeah, I'm
I
trying to
want to
keep
I
up with
want to
the
make sure that
questions.
you. Yeah, I know, dude. And you guys, we appreciate the questions, but we're gonna make sure that he can get through the rest of his slides so that he can go and do what he's got to do. And I have a mint coming up at 11, so I got to make sure I'm on point for that.
I feel
So,
that. All right, so let's go through these real quick.
Cambria, bro, Cambria.
Yeah, and if you guys have any like burning questions that if after we finish all these slides you still feel like I still want to ask them, feel free to ask them. Shoot me a message either on Discord, shoot me a thing on X or here on this Discord. Like we have the Traders Guild. Feel free to tag me there. But yes, let's go ahead and look. So we talked about the buybacks, and also there's more benefits for Ori holders. So if you happen to be holding their main token, you actually get a 2x staking boost, VELFG pre-launch access. VELFG just means the staking, or the locked LFG for use for governance. A lot of platforms do that. That's outside of the scope of this event, but that's what it is. Targeted LFG airdrop. So if you also hold a token, you might be getting an LFG airdrop, and the goal is pretty much to strengthen both ecosystems at the same time. I know somebody was asking a question about that. That's how they're doing it through the buybacks, through this dual flywheel between Ori and LFG. As we mentioned, they're having a pre-sale right now. This is not shilling the pre-sale and telling you to go buy. This is just giving you the information so you have it. The pre-sale is happening between October 21st, so it started on Monday, and it runs all the way till next week on the 30th. So that's going to be from this Monday all the way up to next Thursday on Oraichain. The price is 0.004. It's going to be the same as the TGE price. So if you're hoping to get a cheaper price for pre-sale and then dump it at TGE, sorry, but that's not happening. This is just you getting access at the TGE price instead of hoping that you can snipe or beat snipers, which never happens. There's going to be a total of 25 million LFG available. The payment you pay in Ori, bringing more utility to their token. The unlock is a little bit interesting, and you should understand this. You're only going to have 10% of your tokens available at TGE. So if you were also hoping to dump everything on day one, not possible. Only 10% is available at TGE, and the other 90% is a pretty short lock, over 4 months via the VLF or the VELFG token. So they don't give you the LFG token They give you the governance staked version of it, and then all you probably have to do is just unstake it and then sell it if you want to go ahead and do that. Refunds are also out of process for anything over 100,000. They're only raising 100,000 for this pre-sale. So if 500,000 is raised, then they will divvy it up based on how much you raise. So if $500,000 is raised and you put 100,000 of that, then you will get 25 or 20k of the 100k put in just because of percentages and everything. But anything over 100,000 will be refunded back to people. All right, we're on the last slide. I know we're running out of time here, but I do want to answer a couple more questions after we go over this. So the 60-second takeaway, we talked about a lot of stuff, but what you should be walking away with after this is four things. LFG is not just trying to be another DEX. It aims to be a trading culture ecosystem. How? Through all the ways that we talked about in this last hour. Oraichain provides the AI plus infrastructure backbone. That's how they're working together. If Oraichain is the mother chain, they got to provide the children chains the proper tools in order to work properly. 3. Tokenomics tightly connect LFG and ORI value. How? Through the buybacks, through all the revenue of LFG going directly into both tokens. 50-50 split. And 4, the pre-sale lives live for a few more days. So if any of this was something that you found interesting, like the pre-sale is still out there, but again, not financial advice. We're not telling you what to do with your money. We're just giving you the information so you can make an educated decision for yourself. And that's pretty much all I have here today. Any burning questions that you saw, Terrace, that we should definitely answer in the next two
Um,
minutes?
Honestly, there were so many questions. These guys are going nuts.
I like it.
A lot of them are a few of them were pretty general questions. And we appreciate the general questions, but we're going to focus on questions that directly relate to the subject of the day when we do these events, guys. Just giving you a heads up on that. So, like, I mean, as much as I appreciate like questions like Amore's, what strategies do professional traders use to manage risk and maintain consistent profitability in volatile markets? Those are things we went over when it comes to like strategy, um, candlesticks, and charts, and also like when we went over like leverage and stuff like that. So we tend to incorporate stuff like that into each one. Whereas like please 50-50 rev split is a strong commitment. How is net revenue defined and calculated on chain to ensure transparency and trust in this process for both Ori and LFG holders? That one applies a little bit more. And to be honest, revenue is after expenses. So as far as I know, typically that's how that works with most businesses. I don't know how that works exactly or how they're going to be calculating that with LFG. So we're gonna have to wait more for a white paper around that.
Yeah, and
Um,
if this topic was interesting to you guys, what we can definitely do once we have more information, and that might not be directly in 2 weeks, but maybe like a month or two from now when they have a finalized white paper, they have a new version that's live to everyone. We can circle back to this and give you guys more of those detailed informations that you guys were looking for.
Nadia's question is good. How long have you been using OFG&G for this more than Hyperliquid? And honestly, I'm gonna be straight with you guys, like I always am. Oraichain is a client, and so we feature clients primarily for events when and where we can, and that allows us to amplify the events a little more because it's two birds, one stone. It allows us to promote our clients and to work with the people that work with us, and also allow us to bring you guys some really good information, some cool stuff, and of course, anything that Caesar's not comfortable with promoting or sharing, he won't. So, like, it's never going to be anything that he's just shilling for us. He's done his research on it. He's checked it out, and he's sharing what information he does have with you guys as a trader. So, just giving you guys a heads up on that.
Yeah, definitely. Like he said, I'm not here to shill anything specific to you guys. I'm here to try to educate and empower you guys with information that you guys can really act on and sort of decide for yourselves. At the end of the day, to you guys, I'm just another random guy on the internet, so don't take anything I say as the truth. Make sure you double check, you fact check, you do your own research, because at the end of the day, that's what makes you a better trader and better speculator in this space. I know somebody was asking if using this platform to farm the airdrop is something viable. I would say depends on like the size. Obviously, people who farm these airdrops come in with big bags, But I would say I'm personally going to be trying out the platform myself, and this is not because I'm paid to or because like it's a sponsored or anything like that. I just think that some of this stuff is cool, and that's why I agreed to cover this during this event because they are bringing some cool things on the table that may or may not work. We never know. Like all this stuff is speculation until proven otherwise. But I will be trying out the platform myself and checking it out and seeing how these posts work. And who knows? Maybe you'll see 100x Caesar in there, and then all you guys will be able to see if I'm actually a good trader or if I'm just talking a bunch of baloney. A random guy living
All
life
right, and
changing
on that,
advice.
you've got to run, brother.
Yeah.
I appreciate you taking the time to come in and share this information with our friends. It's always a good time when you're taking us on our journey to the moon.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me back. And I think from moving forward, this will be the new time slot. So hopefully this works for all of you guys, and I'm excited to see you on the next one.
Oh, moving forward, we're gonna switch to this 100%.
We can still talk about it if that doesn't work. We can definitely.
Usually 11 o'clock is better, but maybe we can see